Hi, and welcome to my channel, Laura's Library Card. So today I am filming my mid-year freak out book tag. Mid-year book freak out tag. My mid-year freaking out about books tag. Anyway, I love seeing this tag go around, so let's just dive into the questions. First question is, what is the best book you have read so far this year? I, like everyone else, had a tough time choosing what I wanted to pick for a lot of these, but I ultimately went with two for my favorite books so far for the first half of the year. I chose Anxious People by Frederick Bachman. I really enjoyed this book a lot. It took me a little bit to get into it, but ultimately I really ended up super enjoying it. We follow a number of people in a hostage situation that may or may not be as it seems. It's a great character study. I gave it 5 stars. I really enjoyed Anxious People. The second choice for the best book so far this year was, I have a number of books on this list that I really enjoyed, and I just didn't want to mention things too many times, so I chose Get a Life, Eve Brown by Talia Hibbert, which is the third and last, I believe, book in the Brown Sisters trilogy. It is a contemporary romance book with autism rep and a lot of like character growth and sort of opposites attract and not quite enemies to lovers, but like there's a lot of tension at the start and then they resolve, and it's a really cute romance. I really love Talia Hibbert and can't wait to explore more of what she's written. So the second question is, what is the best sequel you've read so far this year? I have read a number of series. Like I've been starting and continuing a lot of series this year. I'll say that I really enjoyed my reread of Daughter of Smoke and Bone, and I have enjoyed continuing reading from the Immortals After Dark series. If I had to pick, one series that I really liked that had a lot of sequels that I did enjoy was both Ice Planet Barbarians and the Fire Dragon series, both of which are by Ruby Dixon. They're just kind of a fun alien romance is something new to me that I really have enjoyed diving into, and I definitely want to continue. If I had to pick just one sequel though, I think I would choose Shadow's Claim, which is one of the Immortals After Dark books. This is by Cressley Cole. I think this one stood out to me just because we follow characters who are kind of different from a lot of the other characters in the book. Trahan was still definitely like an alpha male, but he was just, the whole tone of the book just was different compared to all the other ones in the series, and that one just made it stand out more. And I really liked learning more about this sect or this version of vampires, and I kind of wanted to dive into the Daciano series after that. The third question is, what is a new release you haven't read yet but want to? The third book in the Simon Snow series is called Anyway the Wind Blows, and it came out at the beginning of July, and I am filming this I think a couple days after it came out, and I think it just came out earlier this week, and I really want to get to that. I have been rereading the book number 2 so that I can remind myself of what happened in the series, and I am really looking forward to diving into that third book. So I think that's the end of the series, but I just want more of that resolution, and it's got like magic, and it's contemporary, and I really just can't wait to dive into that one. The fourth question is, what is the most anticipated release for the second half of the year? I don't generally pay much attention to releases coming out. I tend to just hear about the same ones over and over from other people who pay attention to that. So I have heard that Helen Huang has another book coming out in her Kiss Quotient series. I think it's a third book. I think it's called The Heart Principle. And I liked both the Kiss Quotient and the Bride Test, so I'm looking forward to The Heart Principle. And then also I know that Olivia Dade's All the Feels is coming out later this year, October question mark. But I just got an ARC for that, so I'm going to be able to read it soon, which I'm really excited about because it follows after Spoiler Alert, which I read and liked and reviewed here on my channel, so I'll put that up in the cards. Question 5 is, what is the biggest disappointment I've had so far this year? I had a number of disappointments, not necessarily like my lowest rated books, but I had Una Out of Order, which I just went into with different expectations. I thought it was gonna be a really cool, like, sort of twist on time travel, but I just was really disappointed in that character, and I did not end up liking the story or where the trajectory went, and I felt like some of the biggest like reveals and tension in the book could have been resolved differently, so I was disappointed with that. I was also disappointed with Mexican Gothic, which I know a lot of people really love, and I think that that was part of the problem, is I went into it with this really high expectation that it was going to be like a thriller, and I don't know where I got that idea, because it was very atmospheric, but like I was just kind of underwhelmed throughout the whole thing, and a lot of the major elements I kind of predicted. So I liked it. I would give Sylvia Moreno Garcia like another chance with her writing, but like Mexican Gothic didn't really do it for me, and I was kind of just disappointed ultimately by the end. And I also put out here on this list The Project by Courtney Summers, which was a book I read for a book club, and same thing, it deals with cult. I thought it was going to be like a intense psychological thriller, and I just never was really like thrilled by it. It felt really predictable to me, and I think that, you know, someone pointed out in our book club that that maybe the predictability of it was trying to like make commentary about how cults are pervasive in society, and I was like, well, that's really like, okay, food for thought. But I went into it thinking it was going to be this like really great thriller, and ultimately I was just not thrilled. So those are some of my disappointments so far this year. Question 6 is, what has been the biggest surprise so far this year? And I wrote down The Reckless Oath We Made, which I read. Did I read that for a book club? I can't remember if I read this for a book club or not. I think we did. And I was kind of surprised how much I enjoyed it. It's hard to explain what this book is about, but basically our main character is a woman who's kind of, she's going through a rough patch in her life, and her sister like just got kidnapped slash there was a prison break, and her sister worked at the prison, and so she got kidnapped like as these guys like escape prison, and so she's like going through a rough patch because her sister is like missing, and she enlists the help of this guy who is autistic and who's not been stalking her, but like is inordinately interested in her. And so it's like sort of the two of them figure out how to like what they're gonna do about like her sister and who needs help, and like and sort of just like their relationship together as they navigate this like all the drama that's going on in the main character's life. That's not a very good description, but like I just really enjoyed the writing in this book, and I felt pulled along, and I thought it was super interesting to get Gentry's point of view, because he is autistic, but he also like speaks in like ye old English, because that's the mindset that he works best in. And so I just thought that the element was really interesting. I thought the resolution at the end of the book was really interesting. I've thought about the book a lot since I read it, and so I went into it with like expectations, and then I really enjoyed it, and I've thought about it a lot since. So it made my list of a surprise from this year. And also another one that made a surprise that I'm going to put for this question is Transcendent Kingdom by Ya Jesse. I had read Homegoing I think a year ago, and I liked it fine, but I didn't love it. And so Transcendent Kingdom, I was intrigued based on the premise, because we follow a young woman who she's, I think, in graduate school, and she's studying neuroscience, which is one of my majors, and I was an area that I super was interested in. And there's a lot of discussions about depression and addiction, and the neuroscience of those of living life, but also of like those topics specifically. And also this main female character, she was raised in a very religious upbringing and household, so she is also kind of thinking a lot about what it means to have a personality, to have a soul, how your brain is tied to that. All of those things just ring my bells, push all my buttons. Loved it. I loved her discussions and thoughts on theology and how she kind of approaches those questions. I loved how she was trying to use her neuroscience studies and understanding of the brain to help explain slash justify some decisions that have been made in her life and by people that she loved. I just felt like there were so many quotes in this book that were really relatable. I liked the writing of it. I was just like, Homegoing was for me, but like Transcendent Kingdom was 6 stars, loved it. That was going to be one of my best books of the year, but I wanted to put it here because I hadn't been expecting that. I thought that, like, I went into it with kind of low expectations because I had only been in the middle on Homegoing, and so Transcendent Kingdom really like blew me out of the water. Question 7 is, what is my favorite new author, either new debut or new to me? I rarely notice when a book that I'm reading is by a debut author, so I just picked people who were new to me. So I read Olivia Dade for the first time this year. I read Spoiler Alert, really liked it, want to read more by her. I already mentioned All the Feels. I read Kennedy Ryan for the first time this year. I read Long Shot, the first book in her Hoop series, which was intense but very good, and I quite enjoyed the writing style, and so I want to read more by Kennedy Ryan. And then the third author that I'm choosing for this section is Juliet Cross. I just read Wolf Gone Wild and really enjoyed it, and so I want to continue that series and also check out other books that Juliet Cross has written. Question 8 is, what is your newest fictional crush? I don't generally feel like I have like fictional crushes on characters. I kind of read so many romance that like whoever I'm reading currently is frequently my fictional crush. But I will say, speaking of Juliet Cross, I really enjoyed Mateo from Wolf Gone Wild. He was like sensitive and artistic and kind, and he had some, sass and some like wit to him, but he also has the alpha like wolf element to him, so he can be like steamy and got that little bit of alpha to him. So I really enjoyed Wolf Gone Wild, and I loved Mateo in particular, so I guess I will choose him for my fictional crush. Question 9 is newest favorite character. Again, I like characters and I like character growth, but it's kind of infrequent for me to like really fall for a character. I'd say before I really started thinking about this question, the first character I thought of was not from this year. It was Ox from Wolf Song from last year, but I recently read Check Please, and the graphic novel, and I have to say that I really enjoyed reading Eric Biddy, the main character. I really loved his character. He was so cute. He was such a cinnamon roll, and he was like, he had that right balance of like innocent, naive, but also like endearing and not like too stupid. So I think that is my most recent character that I super enjoyed. I'm gonna go with Biddy from Check Please. Question 10 is a book that made me cry. I cry at like probably almost every book I read. I mean, that might be a slight exaggeration, but most of the books I read, I have a single moment if they've done their job well. I usually have at least one moment of like, whew, kind of like having to blink a few times. But books that I read so far this year that made me cry was Anxious People. Well, I reread Wolf Song. That made me cry. Gilead, which I reread, and that made me tear up. I did actually cry at Crazy Stupid Bromance. I cried during Long Shot, and I cried during A Simple Wild. So those are 6 or 7 books that I have cried at so far this year. Book, conversely, number 11 is a book that made me happy. And I will say that I already mentioned Check Please, but that one was just such a treat to read. Like, Biddy was so cute, and like he's like a cute little chef, and he's happy and like optimistic and like happy-go-lucky for so much of it that like that just was enjoyable to read, and I was pleased and ready to just traipse along with him the whole time. So I'm gonna say Check Please. I also read Heated Rivalry, which I really enjoyed. I think it was maybe my first or second book of the year, and that was really fun just because there's like so much tension, and so I just was really enjoying, like, that sports romance was just like hitting the spot at the time that I needed the spot to be hit, and that was great. Also Transcendent Kingdom, like I said, for my biggest surprise. I loved that melding of the neuroscience and the theology elements, and so that just made me happy the whole time. I was just like wanting to gush about that book to everybody, so I definitely feel like that is a book that made me happy. So question 12 is, what is the most beautiful book you have bought or received so far in the first half of this year? And I don't really like buy books other than the romantic suspense unboxing, and other than stuff I've checked out from the library. I have bought, well, I did just buy Anyway the Wind Blows, and that's a very colorful cover, so I'm just gonna go with that. That's a cop out, I know, but like, I don't really care what my covers look like. Come at me. Do it. Question 13 is, what books do you have to read by the end of the year? And basically all the books, all of them. I want to read all of them. But specifically, I do want to finish the Immortals After Dark series. I've been kind of chugging along. I fell a little bit behind because the readathon, read along, is now complete, and I have, I think maybe 4 left to go, 4 or 5 left. So I want to finish those by the end of the year. I do want to continue the Green Creek series. I started Ravensong at the end of May, but just like life kind of got in the way, so I set it down not that far into it. So I definitely want to continue the Green Creek series. I definitely want to read All the Feels, as I mentioned already, by Olivia Dade. I want to try out more Mariana Zapata. I read The Wall of Winnipeg last year, and I quite liked it, and I feel like she is highly recommended on BookTube frequently, and I feel like From Lukov with Love has been highly recommended, so I want to check out more of that author. And I also want to try out a little bit more manga between Izzy and Shay. They definitely read a lot of manga, and Tamika, and so I feel like I'm getting more manga recommendations, and it's just an area that I don't know that much about, so I'm sort of thinking of diving into Sweat and Soap as a manga, but like, that's not available through my library. So I don't know. I have a lot of books that I definitely want to read for the rest of this year. I already have August like halfway planned out. I have a couple video ideas. So yeah, so that is my mid-year freak out book tag. And if you can think of a book that I should definitely get to by the end of the year, leave that down in the comments. If you have any comments about any of the books that I mentioned in this video, also leave that down in the comments. If you did this tag, definitely let me know so that I can go and check it out, because this is one of my favorite tags, and I've already watched a number of videos, but I always like, I feel like it gives a good kind of like reading sample of someone's tastes to watch them do this tag. So I'm glad that it is as popular as it is. Thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.